Mr. X on the Extreme channel here with another sell-off review. What I mean by sell-off review, if you haven't caught any yet, I don't know if I've aired any yet because I filmed things out of order. This is a piece that I've had for a while and I've never reviewed, but I'm going to sell him. So before I sell him, I'd like to review him because, to be honest with you, this is a badass piece. If you're unsure what this piece is, well, just Mr. X on the Extreme channel here with Chronicle Collectibles Cain from RoboCop 2. So what this is RoboCop. If you haven't heard of RoboCop, God help you. But RoboCop is a movie series and also a cartoon or a comic book series that came out in the 20th century. RoboCop is a cyborg, half man, half machine. Maybe not half, but partially man, partially machine. He was a police officer and he was murdered and they brought him back as a robot. The first RoboCop movie came out, I want to say in the 1980s sometime, and it was fantastic because of the concept at the time. And he battled a bunch of drug lords and corrupt cops and things like that. Well, then they followed up with the sequel, and in the sequel he fought another cyborg, so to say. Really, there was only one human aspect of this cyborg, and it was the brain stem and the brain. And this cyborg was actually his arch nemesis. His trying to think of the right word. I've drank a lot today. Shh. The bad guy. So this was actually the bad guy. The cops put the bad guy's brain inside this cyborg to test it out, and of course the cyborg went rogue and he had to kill him. RoboCop 2 was not widely well received because it was, kind of viewed more as just a violent, bloody action movie as opposed to no really solid storyline. I personally really enjoyed it. Obviously, I liked RoboCop 1 much better. I did not like RoboCop 3 at all. I own all of them, including the new one. I thought the new one was okay, the remake. But so this is Cain. He's the bad guy. Chronicle Collectibles made these. They retailed at $1,300, which most people could not believe. But the reason it retailed at $1,300, from my understanding, is they were all hand assembled with over 270 pieces. They're signed by Phil Tippett. Tippett, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He's one of the artists that put this together, as well as many other creatures in the cinematic universe. And it is a really, really wonderful piece. And you know what's ironic is you don't see them going up for sale that often anymore. And I'm really honestly not saying that to try and pump up my own sale. I don't. Of course, I'm not looking for it either. But very, very cool piece. It doesn't necessarily have a scale, but I say it's 1/6 scale. Because the reason why I got it is I put it with some of my other 1/6 RoboCop stuff I have. Some of the very few Hot Toys I had left. Here's a picture right here. I will also be reviewing and selling these, RoboCop and Ed 209. I think all three together looked phenomenal, but because I have almost nothing left in my 1/6 scale, I think they need to go. And I didn't pay retail at it. I paid less than that, so I plan to sell it for about what I paid it for, or what I paid for it. So I'll figure that out later. I'm going to do a video that may have already aired of selling everything here first. I'm going to do a few runs, 10 at a time. So when we look at this piece, it's interesting because there is sculpt to it, there is paint, and there's a lot of concept and design, but to me, all of that kind of mixes in together. So traditionally, I break up my reviews into background info, concept and design, and paint and sculpt. We're gonna kind of do the last 4 sections together. And with that, let's kind of start. So he's sitting here, standing. Whenever I say sitting, I mean standing. He's standing on this platform base that we're gonna do some close-ups on in a museum pose. And he doesn't have any of his weapons out. He's just kind of standing there. Maybe he's deactivated. He's not ready to go. Maybe this was made as an art piece, not necessarily for statue collectors, but for movie collectors. Nothing really functions on this, even though I wish it would. Nothing opens, moves, closes, anything like that. Although I think they had the opportunity to do that. But part of me thinks they never did that because they didn't want it to be like a hot toy. They didn't want it to be a toy. They wanted it to be a $1,300 museum piece. And it's done very, very well on the paint and sculpt. When we dive in here, I'm going to flash back to some scenes from the movie where this piece was utilized and this one isn't. And I'm going to kind of speak in generalities on the piece. So let's dive into the details. And realistically, this could be a 6-hour review, and we're going to cut it really short because, not just because he's short, but it's going to make it, you know, a little more simple. So first, the outside of the base here has all these electronic gizmos on it, from, you know, vents to buttons and circuits, and it's all over each side. It's actually a hexagon. Or sorry, it is an octagon. 8 different sides, stuff all over each side. Just adds to the piece. The circuitry here makes it look a little bit better. And then here on the bottom of the base, kind of a, you know, what you think of when you think of a computerized factory. The platform here, some different shadings of gray and silver. Pretty neat. I like the designs on it. And I think that's the OCP design, which is the company that created him. And then on the front, you have the nameplate. It's from RoboCop 2. It's Cain, that's his name. And then Phil actually signed it. I believe that's an actual marker. I don't want to rub it to see if it'll come off. That's what she said. But it's, I don't like nameplates, so I wish this was removable. I don't like to say who my characters are. But it is neat that they do add that, and I think that adds value to the statue. And then starting at his feet here, look at his feet, craziness going on. So there are like 50, 60 parts in his feet here, and these are very movie accurate. So you see some springs and circuitry and some other stuff. Then he has these 2 sharp toes on the front, and these are actually used in the movie. Here's the scene right here. So as you see, he used those to kind of extend and stop himself. And then moving up his legs, all the colors, I'm not going to speak too much about it, but it's grays and blacks, and there's some wear and tear on some of these. Not a lot, but some tarnishment. So it's not like he's brand new. He's been through a few battles. But moving up, you see the different springs and screws and different metal pieces. Things that almost look like vents. And he has very, very skinny legs for agility. They were trying to surpass the original RoboCop design. And I think the whole point they were making was that this piece was dependent on, this guy was a bad guy, so he was never going to win, even though he was designed better. But so the legs look really, really skinny, but very, very powerful. Moving up to kind of his crotch area, you have some wheels and dials on the sides. The front of it's kind of this blackish, scratched up plate with a little red lettering on it. And then his upper torso is only connected to his bottom torso through some pistons and tubes. But a lot of intricate design in here. It makes it look fantastic. Very impressed with how they did it. It's very secure. It's not cheap feeling or anything like that. And then moving up his torso here, so there's a radioactive symbol on the right chest area. Then in the middle is this X, and in the movie, here's a scene I'll show in a second. That's where they bribed him to get him to do what they wanted to. They would give him drugs. They'd give him nuke, the drug nuke. So check this out. And keep in mind that little claw he used to put it in. We're going to look, actually let's look at it right now. It's just to the left side of his torso here, it's actually kind of raised up. That's the claw he actually used. So this is extremely movie accurate. And again, so much detail, the hoses, the wiring, the metal. And here's his portrait right here. So this is with his portrait closed to protect him. In the movie, when he actually wanted to communicate, he would open this up, and here's a clip of that. So he would open it up and out a TV screen would come, which he really couldn't talk or communicate. But that was the picture of the actual drug lord. Here's a picture of the drug lord before he went into the cyborg. And then let's look at the back of the upper torso. Again, some hoses and almost looks like some exhaust and metallic parts and, you know, some coils making it go. And then you see this gun. So this gun was used in one of his encounters with RoboCop. He held it back here, but then it would slide up to the top and he would actually shoot it. So here's a scene from that.
Behave yourselves!
And then checking out his left arm, so at the top he has, I think these are the lights. He had very powerful lights he would use to use those in a warehouse scene where it was completely dark. And then a big old minigun, which he used against RoboCop. Here's a scene with that. And then the ammo here is actually rubber, interestingly enough. I'm surprised they actually chose that. But right below the minigun there is actually kind of a battling, I drank way too much. A battering ram. That's the word I'm looking for. Here's the scene from the movie. So I just love that they incorporated all this, and again, look at all the intricate detail in the arm and the wires. And then let's jump over to his right arm here. So one of the unique things, he has a fourth arm that is kind of a electric circuit here that he tries to fry RoboCop with in the movie. So you see it right here, and then here's the scene in the movie. And then moving down his arm, again, so many different moving parts and working parts and kind of that wear on the paint. And then 3-finger digits on both of his actual hands. He almost has a fourth finger that's super, super tiny, but some hoses are connected to it. Looks great. So crazy, crazy intricate piece. If you are a big RoboCop fan, this is a 100% you need to have. Like I said, I really enjoyed the movie. It makes me kind of want to watch it right now. I actually might after I edit this. So let me know what you think of this piece. Let me know some other really expensive pieces that you just never see people show off. You never see people sell. I think this would fall into that category. You know, for a 1/6 piece, essentially, $1,300 retail price. That's crazy, and it's sold out. All 500 of them. They made 500, so I can't remember if I said that or not. Beer, too much beer. So, and I know I said so a lot. I'm working on that. So. Really appreciate you guys watching. Please drop me a like if you enjoyed it. Please drop me a dislike if you didn't enjoy it. And please leave a comment on the suggestion I said earlier. But most of all, if you have not subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe. About 55% of the people who view are not subscribers, and I drop cool stuff like this all the flipping time. So when you're drunk, it's really hard to control your words. But I think I held myself together very well, better than I did on my XM Batgirl review. I was really drunk on that. I even assembled that drunk, which was really dangerous. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.